Hello, good evening. It is Thursday already of a new week. I thought we could do this vlog a little bit differently, and so I was going to rearrange my bookshelves a little bit because they're getting kind of messy and sloppy, and I just need something to kind of distract myself. As you can see, my cortisol levels are all over the place. My anxiety is through the roof this week. I thought maybe this weekend I could film some of the books that I've recently hauled, since I did go to a couple of different used book sales, and I've also been buying things here and there, and I haven't done a haul since like May. So I just wanted to take you guys along and kind of switch it up this weekend. Hello, good afternoon. It is Friday. My kids are currently at school and I am spiraling. I haven't heard about the job that I applied for, two of the jobs that I applied for, but I was expecting to hear back from one of them by now, and I emailed a couple of the people. I still haven't heard anything. I don't know the office number to call. So today is just not going well, and I have decided I'm going to get out of the house. I do have my niece with me today, who I'm going to wake up from her nap. I'm going to feed her lunch, and then we're going to go for a walk until I pick up my daughter from school. I need to physically move because not only am I not focusing on anything, but I just feel like my head is spinning. So, and again, as you can see, my face is literally reacting to how stressed I have been. So, yeah, I finished Spells for Forgetting last night and rated it 4.5 stars. I loved it, and it makes me want to read more of her work. But I am looking to start the spell shop this weekend, and I'm not really sure what else. I have The Secret History by Donna Tartt on audio that I might start. I usually have like two books going, either a Kindle and an audio, or an audio and a regular. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I will start something this weekend. I just cannot focus on anything right now. So I'm going to finish getting dressed. I'm going to wake my niece up, give her some lunch, and we are out of here for a walk. Hello, it is Friday evening almost. The kids are home from school, and I think we're gonna go somewhere just to get like an appetizer and a drink outside because it is still nice enough to sit outside. But I wanted to come on, and I updated my jar. I rewrote some of the stuff on my shelves, and okay, let me start over. I emptied out my old TBR jars. I had an author jar and a title jar, and I emptied them both. I just wrote titles, and I updated some of the newer stuff on my shelves as well as the older stuff. There's over 130 pieces of paper in here, and although it doesn't look like it because they're so tiny, so I wanted to pick, I don't want to pick as many as I did the last couple months because I wasn't really getting to them. However, in September, the picks worked out really good. Even though they were chosen by Instagram polls, it worked out surprisingly good. So I'm torn on what I want to do, but I'm gonna pick 2. If I like them, I'll keep them. If I think I need another, then I'll pick a 3rd. But no more than 3. And I do have a fall TBR that I do want to get to. Let's just get started. A Curious Beginning, that's kind of fall-ish. I'm like trying to make sure I only pick 1 at a time. Jacket Weather, I feel like that also has a fall vibe to it. Although I'm not really sure if it's all seasons or one. So I will pick 1 more. Okay, last one. Jack and Me. Interesting. Okay, let's go get these. Knock, 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 all dressed in black, 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 with silver buttons, buttons, buttons all down her back, back, back. She asked her mother for 15 Hello, good morning. It is Saturday morning. We had dance class this morning. I don't know why I keep saying we. My daughter had dance class this morning. I brought her this time. We are going to, I think we're gonna go somewhere for lunch and hang out outside. It's really nice out today. And so there's this place that has a lot of like land for the kids to run around and play and bring a ball. And so I think that's what we're going to do. I did this morning start a Kindle book called Fall Into You. I want to show you the cover because it's so cute. Cozy Creek collection. So cute. So I did start that and I'm only like 8% in, but it's just hitting in the right place. It's very cozy, fall vibes obviously, and I'm just loving it. So I'm excited to continue it. I'm going to read it in the car and probably read it while we're there. I don't know. I don't normally do that, but I just feel like, I don't know, the kids are going to want to run around, and why not just read outside and have a drink with lunch and chill. Tomorrow we have baseball in the morning, and then we are going to my future sister-in-law's parents' house. We are going to be making wine, which I've never done before, but they have vineyards, but they took all the grapes off. They have like their own labels to put on the bottles, and it just sounds so cute. I'm a little bit nervous because I've never done something like that before, but it just sounds like a Sunday fun day, and I am excited for it and to see how it all comes together. But yeah, it's just a cozy weekend. It is a little bit chillier, but like still nice. Like it's like nice enough to wear a sweatshirt outside. The sun is still shining and it's warm when you're in the sun, but if you're not sitting in the sun, it's like perfect sweater weather. So I am just excited to be outside and do something outside. But yeah, I still haven't heard anything. Well, I didn't get the one position, but there were still 2 others from the other interview, and I haven't heard anything on those, so I'm trying to remain positive. I had a feeling I didn't get the one office job, so not that I'm okay with how it turned out, but I just wasn't as confident leaving that interview, and so it was easier to accept, I feel like. This one I really want, and I just feel like it would be a good fit, and I was super excited leaving. And I don't know if I haven't heard anything is because they are taking their time in the process, or if I am like one of the last candidates and they're going back and forth between people. I just don't know. There's 2 of the same position open, and I'm just waiting, and I am the most impatient person. So it is hard mentally, because then I just spiral and think, well, if I don't get it, this is what will happen, and blah, 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 blah. And I just need to chill my brain. But yeah, that is what we're doing this weekend. Sorry for the word vomit that I just had. Yeah, that is it. So come along with us.
Good job.
I wanted to go over my September reads because it is officially October. It is October 10th, and it is crazy how my mind works when I'm anxious. Last month, I feel like I couldn't sit through anything. I only got to 8 books, which is still very steady for me. That's like my average this year. My plan was to slow it down. My goal is only 100 this year. I'm on track. It's working. But this past week alone, I have read 6 books. So October is just a different mindset for me and a different way of dealing with anxiety, apparently. So without further ado, let's talk about what I read. The first one that I finished in September was Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. I gave that 3 stars. That was about a girl named Rory who moves back to her hometown to help her twin sister with her pregnancy. She's getting ready to have a baby, and the sister had said that the baby daddy just left, which wasn't the case, but she went back to help her sister, and she, has a history, obviously, with her hometown, but she tries to rekindle a past flame and ends up being bitten. I don't think this is a spoiler. It's a werewolf retelling or a werewolf story. So she is bitten and tries to figure out who that person was that turned her, as well as trying to figure out her romantic relationship and her sister dynamic. So it was definitely entertaining. I just felt like the writing wasn't very fluid. Like I didn't fly through it the way I thought I would. Like the plot was there. The story was interesting. I think just the writing, it just, like when I picked it up, it took me a little while to like actually get into it. I just felt like the writing didn't flow that great for me. But it was still interesting and a perfect like story for this time of year. After that, I finished One Perfect Couple. That is by Ruth Ware. I gave that 3.5 stars. This is an Agatha Christie kind of storytelling. It was a bunch of couples go on a reality show on this island, and it follows Lila. I can't remember what her person's name is, but he ends up getting kicked off, and she actually is made to continue with the other couples. A big storm comes through, people start dying, accidents happen, and it has that whole murder whodunit kind of thing, which was definitely entertaining. I just read it and felt like it wasn't something that would stay memorable for me. Like, I could just read it and move on. It was definitely interesting, and I would recommend it if like thrillers or whodunit are, you know, genres that you like. I liked it in that aspect. I just think it wasn't memorable for me. Like, the characters weren't memorable. I do remember the plot line. It's just hit or miss for me. I'm not really sure. After that, I read Wild Eyes, Elsie Silver, 4 stars I gave it. That was the Rose Hill second book, and I loved it. I love her writing style, and I love the storytelling too. That one was, I don't remember her name, but she was like a pop star, and she was kind of trying to take a break from the social scene, and so she goes to Rose Hill to not only separate herself from the scene that she was a part of, but also work on an album with her new manager, something like separate from what she's done before. She wants to like recreate herself and, you know, have a different image, and so she goes to, you know, cowboy land basically, and she runs into a single dad who has 2 kids, and I think what did it for me was the son that had the selective mutism, having that connection and him just like trusting her right off of the bat. Like, it had a place in my heart before I even got to like that, you know, flirty adult relationship. Like, just seeing her with that child, I don't know, it just had a soft spot in my heart watching their dynamic, you know, as the book went on, as well as like the romance and all of that stuff. It was very encompassing, and I just loved it so much. So I gave that one 4 stars. After that, I listened to Girls with Bright Futures by Tracy Dobmeyer, and I gave that 4 stars. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. That was 3 different women, 3 daughters who were trying to get into Ivy League schools. Just how crazy that competition is in certain areas. Like, when you are, you know, wealthy and want the best for your kids, and it's kind of like, what level are you willing to take that? One of the girls gets into an accident, and it was definitely premeditated. It was something that was planned out ish. I mean, to an extent, not like ahead of time, but in the moment. It's hard to explain, and I don't want to spoil it. But the, you know, families then start trying to figure out who was the one that was trying to wedge a different path for their child and not care who they run over, literally. So it was very entertaining. It was also sort of in the moment. I mean, those scandals in real life happened a couple of years ago, I would say by now, but it was so entertaining. The audiobook was so good, so I do recommend that. After that, I picked up The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. I gave that one 4 stars. That was an audiobook as well. This was 1962. A girl goes missing in Maine. Her name was Ruthie, and she went missing and ended up being raised by a different family, a different couple, and so she grows up as Norma. Is it a spoiler? I don't want to give too much away, but what do I say without giving it away? Okay, spoiler-ish. So if you haven't read it, spoiler-ish. she rekindles, or not rekindles, she finds her original family after a long, long, long time. And that's as far as I'll take it. I'm not going to get into the details of how she finds her birth parents or birth family, but the ending was really good. The audiobook was very fast moving, I thought, and it was just different than what I expected. I didn't know the story going into it or the summary, but when I started it, the first, 3 chapters, I think I was definitely like invested, and I just think it was really well done. I know it's kind of controversial and a lot of people are like iffy about it, but I would recommend it. I have recommended it. I enjoyed it, so I don't know. After that, I finished Bunny by Mona Awad. What to say about that I haven't already said besides what the fuck? I put up a post. It's so funny. I put up a post after I read it, and I had said, did it make sense? If you read this book, did it make sense? Yes or no? And literally everyone but one person put no, it didn't make sense. One person put yes, and I was like, how? In a sense, it does make sense. Now that I look back to it, now that I've read other people's reviews, it does. The elements that were supposed to stand out did stand out. How pretentious, especially literature, but like how pretentious certain courses can be in college, how stuff is, supposed to be thought outside of the box, but what is that definition of it makes sense outside of the box, and maybe it doesn't make sense, but it's categorized as outside of the box, so it still like holds weight. And like, I don't know how else to describe it, but I've definitely had classes like that, and one in particular, it was a Play-Doh class, and the teacher was just so, no one passed the class. It made zero sense. But like just the constructiveness of it, like you wanted to succeed because so many people were failing at it, but it was really just a shot in the dark, and you couldn't tell if like what you were trying to make sense of was like bullshit or if it was real. Or so I get that aspect of Bunny. I don't necessarily understand the mindfuckery of it. It just seems like a fever dream. It seems like she's like out of her mind a little bit with like the construction of like bunny boys, the ending with Jonah, like just some of it I was like, okay, wait a second, like, is she okay? Is she okay? So I don't know. I put it at 3 stars because I just wasn't sure if I understood the entire concept that she meant it to be, but I got part of it, so I'll leave it at that. After that was The Au Pair Affair by Tessa Bailey. I gave that 3 stars. It was another single dad. He was a hockey player who needed an au pair during the season to help with his daughter, I want to say. Honestly, I don't even remember much. I listened to it on audiobook. I started it and I really, really enjoyed it until about halfway through. And it just felt like the smut and the sex scenes were like taking over, and it lost the plot. And that like bothered me because I feel like it could have really been a good story. I mean, I liked Wild Eyes. I liked the single dad aspect. I liked the romance. It's not what it was about. I just don't think it went as well as it should have. And I like Tessa Bailey's writing. I just think sometimes romance writers are just getting wrapped up in like how sexual things have to be and like pushing the envelope a little bit every single time a new book comes out. I would rather have the whole thing be well done and not think like, oh, I needed more sex scenes in that, rather than, okay, there's too much, where is the plot? Like, that's just the kind of reader that I am, but I know there are other people that that's what they read those books for, so that's fine. It wasn't it for me, and I don't know. That's not one that I would recommend by her. After that, I read How to Walk Away by Catherine Center. I gave that 4 stars. This was a couple just gets engaged, and the girl, Margaret, is, afraid of flying, but she ends up doing it for her fiance. He takes her up in the air, he proposes to her, and then they get into a devastating accident, and he is left unscathed, and she has to completely redefine her life, her future plans. And then he gets to, he's not like in it for life or, you know, till death do us part. Clearly he like turns into a douchebag. He gives her way too much space because he doesn't know how to deal with the way that she looks and the way that she has to do like rehabs and therapies, and her life has changed. And you're supposed to be, you know, engaged to this person and get married for sickness and in health, and she's sick, and he just like, bye, he's gone. And frustrating. But you're supposed to be frustrated. You're not supposed to like him. But so she has to redefine all these different things within her life, and you know, she ends up falling for her physical therapist. And I don't know, it was well done. I liked it. I loved it. I sped through it in like 3 hours, 4 hours. It was very, very good. So I recommend that 100%. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are the 8 books that I read in September. So let's see, it is Thursday. We have one more day of school and chores and all of this stuff, and then a fun weekend planned, and the kids have Monday off. I definitely have been in more of a reading mood, but I am also definitely in a DNF mood. Like if I don't feel like it's pacing well for me or that I'm making enough progress, I've been putting them down just to keep on a roll. But I also have been listening to a lot while I'm reading, and it's actually doing me so good. So I think I'm keeping up with that. I have a couple of books on my phone that I also have physical copies of. So I'm looking forward to making some progress. I think that's it. So yeah. Hello, good morning. It is Saturday morning. My boys are being savages in the room next to us, so if you hear them, I apologize. I wanted to try something new as far as a TBR. I picked 3 books out of my TBR jar, and I'm working my way through my second one. So not too bad. Reading 2 out of 3. I probably won't get to the third one, but I wanted to try something new, and I counted my shelves. I have 10 shelves between the 2 cases. And so I figure each month, depending on how many answers I get, it's either going to be each month I will put up a thing to pick shelves, you know, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, whatever. And then, or I could just do shelves 1 through 10, which is what I did this time. And so far I only have 1 response. So depending on how many responses I get will determine how I do it in the future. But I figure I'll pick, or somebody will pick a shelf, and I will pick a book off of the shelf. Most of the ones that I tried to face on here are ones that I either haven't read or my favorites. So obviously if it's a favorite, I probably won't reread it. I'm trying to read newer things to get them off of my shelves, or like to go through more of what I already have. So my first response so far, I only posted it a little while ago. Yeah, so far I've only had one response, and it said shelf number 3. So we are going to go 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to pick one of these forward-facing books that I have not read. I really haven't. I've only read, out of everything facing forward, I've read The Book Thief, I've read My Brilliant Friend, The Beauty in Breaking, The Art of Racing in the Rain, Win Me Something, and that's it. The rest of them I have not read. So, oh, and How to Stop Time. So I have a lot to choose from. I'm going to go through and pick which one I want from this shelf. And the more responses I get, the more I will pick. And this, I feel like, will probably help me a little bit better within my mood reading. Because this way, if I pick it from the TBR jar, which I'm still going to do, but I'm probably going to stick to 2 a month. If I do that, it is, you know, chosen for me. Whereas this is a shelf. It's something that I haven't read. but it helps me with my mood reading so that, you know, if I'm in the mood for literature rather than fantasy or something like that, it'll help in that way. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go through and see what I want to pick. I need caffeine. I have 2 picks, and I'm doing 2 because they are very dissimilar, and I just feel like I could get into both really easily. So the first one is The Unbearable Lightness of Being. I had picked this up at the local indie bookstore this past year, a couple months ago, and it just seems like it would have a lot that I would tag and underline and just something that I'm in the mood for right now as far as like finding quotes about life, and it just sounds really interesting, and I've seen so many people say it's amazing. It's not obviously not for everyone. I feel like if you know, like fiction, then you're not gonna like it, but I feel like it is a mix between philosophy, fiction, and like a classic, so I just feel like I'm in the mood for that to kind of chip away at over time. It's obviously not going to be something that I'll like finish in a day, but it says a young woman in love and a man torn between his love for her and his incorrigible womanizing, one of his mistresses and her humbly faithful lover. These are 2 couples whose story is told in the masterful novel in a world in which lives are shaped by irrevocable choices and by fortuitous events, a world in which everything occurs but once existence seems to lose its substance and weight. It sounds confusing and contradicting, but I just think it's going to be super interesting. And then the other one that I picked up that I feel like I could get into pretty fast is Secrets of a Charmed Life. This was, I think, a book outlet purchase for like $5, but I'm pretty sure my sister-in-law read this and really, really enjoyed it. It's dual timeline, which I feel like is going to move pretty fast, and the chapters are pretty short, which is kind of what I'm in the mood for right now. It is only... well, it's less than 400 pages. It's like 380, so it's not too bad. But I just feel like I want to start getting back into historical fiction, and I keep saying that, but I haven't actually pursued it. So these are both from shelf number 3, and these are going up on my nightstand for my October TBR. And let's see if I have any other responses to which shelf.